Love, and your life is going to change. You want me to be different, be different. My name is Love, and your life is going to change. You are going to be different, be different, be different. My name is Love, and your life is going to change. You are going to be different. You are going to be out. You are going to be bigger and larger than ever imagined and impossible. And you know why? Because just you and I went to find the power that's been dormant inside of you all of this time. And all of this time you were afraid to go out. No longer will that be the case. You will be the son. You will be the God that God is something. And you will be the one that everybody turns to and says, hey, look, they're there. The master there. The teacher there. You're there. Someone that will make my life different. And who am I to do that? Remember, I just don't. I'm here to help. I'm here to change your life. Your life will no longer be the same. Be together. I'm going to conquer the world. Oh, you know it's everything you imagine possible. You think of possible for one simple reason. Anything is possible. Possible. My name is Love, and your life is going to change. You are going to be different, be different, be different. My name is Love, and your life is going to change. You are going to be different, be different, be different.
And welcome to another program of Uncommon Sense. You're listening to the voice of Dr. Mel Gill, and as if I don't have enough issues, let me tell you, it's a little bit tough to be able to get everything organized that you need organized so that you can start a program, especially if your computer doesn't work. And my computer, again, crashed on me. Seems crazy, doesn't it? And not only that, the stand that I used to have it on doesn't work anymore. And there are many things that are missing in terms of software for the computer as well. So it's crazy. Well, we're dealing with all those issues. And while we're dealing with all those issues and getting started, hey, Mamji, my mother is listening to the program. I have lost my connection to the mouse as well. So, yeah, par for the course. Things that don't work out. So it looks like I may have to, at some point, get a new computer. And I'll start exploring this week to see if we can make that happen. And then it'll be okay as well. But let me just cue up the music for the end. I'm going to try and keep the program to about an hour so that we won't have to stay that long. But today I want to be able to talk to you about two things. We're going to continue talking about the spirituality as opposed to living an awakened life. And what it means to live a spiritual life as opposed to an awakened life, as opposed to an enlightened life. There are differences, and the differences only come with experience. Suba, welcome to the show. Vin, welcome from Perth. Kantinan from Bangkok, welcome. Kevin Fook and Dragana, welcome. So let's start now. And wow. I have to go into here because I can't navigate on my entire surface here unless, and now we're connected again. It keeps kicking me out, this thing. And Luke Gill just sent me a message. I was just checking to see where he was, and he is not here. So, okay. He will be coming on in a few minutes. He says he's got a couple of things he had to do, and he will be back. So let me talk about the awakened life, because Luke has all the questions. If you have any questions for me, the good place for you to put the questions, or the good email for you to mail these questions, is to Luke, actually, Luke. And I don't know if it's necessary to put a capital, but we'll see. At lukegill@gmail.com. That's the guy. And he will be able to stack the questions and then give them all to me as well. And Kantinan says, it's very good to see you live here. Thank you so much, kiddo. She's one of my students, and now a master trainer in her own light and in her own right as well. She's also an ultramind specialist and a teacher. And and there's Luke. Welcome to the show, Luke.
Good to be here. So sorry I'm late.
No worries, no worries. I later on after the show, I need to talk with you because I don't know. I've forgotten how to change this uncommon sense with under this whole thing. Me as well, and so now you're seeing me at level, because the stand that used to be on kind of broke, and I need to get a new one replaced, and it's going to be an amazing thing. Everything that could go wrong with my computer went wrong with my computer, and if I'm not mistaken, my mouse doesn't. I have to attach it again. Keeps kicking everything out.
It's good to see things from a new angle every once in a while.
Yes. That's I think that's the premise of the Kama Sutra as well. But so if you, I was gonna launch into. I didn't expect you to be on so fast. So with the last message of yours, I was gonna go on and talk about different ways that people can start living a more spiritually awakened life. And in between, while waiting for you to come. But since you're here, do you have any more questions that we left off the last time? I remember we didn't have that much time to cover them.
Yeah, I see one question here. It's how do you live a more spiritually awakened life?
Come closer so I can slap the shit out of you. No, thank you, Luke. We will do that. We will talk about that. It's an easy topic to talk about. Just a lot of people don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. And it's good. Well, here's a real question while we're waiting for one. Suba Saito says, where do you advertise your training courses actually? I used to have people do that for me, and we used to do a split. But since, at least a year ago, or almost a year ago, we've had the kind of people that were not savory. Don't ask me why. Maybe they were given a chance to work with people like Luke and me, and they have one chance to prove themselves. And of course, they showed us what their true colors were. So as a result, they don't pay. They collect all the money on our behalf, and they don't pay. Or even worse, some people in some parts of Europe have even collected money, and there was none coming in our direction. We were not told about anything, and yet we were told that we had an obligation to be present to show this and that, and it was not our program. So we don't want to deal with people like that. So from now on, Suba Saito, what I'm going to do is that Luke and I are going to begin, and I'm going to begin again. I know I began this whole seminar thing about 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, and spent 3 decades in there and 4 decades in psychology-based programs, from NLP to hypnosis to clinical variants of different psychotherapies like primal therapy and the things that I've been teaching you about as well. Oh, no, don't be sorry. It just made it highly inconvenient, very inconvenient. And it's kind of sad that for a small sum of money, I mean, look, I consider $30,000, $40,000 a very small sum of money that these guys would do what they do, which is kind of silly. So anyway, long story short, I have to take care of things in Japan as well. Shizoko Shimizu, how are you? You're going to see the Metasecret do a second wave in Japan, and it'll be a lot of fun as well. So the short story is, yes, we're going to do it on our own. The best way to do it right now, if I'm studying everything correctly, is through YouTube and Facebook. Between the two, if you spend enough money on advertising and targeting, you should be able to get your seminars out there and running. You could also start with a very lucrative area, which is basically creating strategic alliances with different people and so on and so forth. And there's a method I'm teaching Luke, and he's learning how to do it right now. So he's in a particular niche marketing area, and we'll talk about that. One day we'll create a program, Luke, just for that, right? So,
yeah, absolutely.
No questions?
So, yeah, we do have a few questions.
And also, while you're reading the questions to me, you do realize that you can also participate in sharing your ideas about being awakened, living a fairly happy life, because happiness and awakening are two things that go together. It's not mutually exclusive. It's not like marriage. You can either choose to be married or happy. It's not like that.
I think when you live a truly awakened life, it actually puts you sometimes in some very uncomfortable positions, because I mean when you wipe away that veil of all these lies that you've been telling yourself, and all these parts of you that you don't want to see in order to evolve, that can be uncomfortable for a lot of people, and so it's not always going to be a completely zen moment. At least it wasn't. It hasn't been on my journey, but I think in those moments, that's where you can make the most growth.
I'm actually going through those moments even after years of trying to live a quote unquote spiritual life. Every day is a new day. And when I think I have all the answers, my God, there's a whole bunch of other questions underneath all of that, or people just change the focus of everything. And it's like somebody changed the whole magnetic field of knowledge. And so everything just is changed somehow. Hey, Ashok, welcome to the show. If you would like to be on the show, hang on for a second. Let me copy this thing to the clipboard. And if you would like to be on this show, you are most welcome. I welcome everyone to come on board and share their wisdom, their knowledge, or their lack of wisdom and lack of knowledge. It's up to you. I mean, I'm not assuming that you will be able to speak like a mystic or anything like that. It's not necessary. We're human beings trying to get by. Luke has a father who is still trying to find out what the truth is. I mean, I'm never telling you. Even when you were younger, I told you I don't know what the hell the truth is. We're finding out every day. If you want the truth, go ask your mother. She seems to know what the truth is. And she's quite adamant about it too. And if you don't believe her, well, there's a storm coming. Yeah, you have to pay attention to that. But that's why Luke is laughing. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. So continue. You were saying something.
Comments on that. We do have a question from a young woman who has recently attended a seminar in Kundalini, and she wants to know, when awakening your Kundalini energy, it can often feel overpowering. Is that dangerous at all?
Yes. People have gone mad, crazy, actually. They lose touch of reality, because as soon as you do, your Kundalini can be awakened in one of several ways, or speeds. It can happen suddenly in a flash, or it can take its time uncoiling from the base of your spine, and it starts to grow slowly. And I would suggest that would be the way. Most mystics would spend lifetimes developing their Kundalini and everything else, and the skills involved, because they involve a mind state as well as a physical state of body. The body is just physical. So people talk about, well, what about reincarnation? I was a priest in a past life. So I was a practitioner of the spiritual arts. I was pretty high up there. I was one of those Atlantean people that sat on crystals and, boo, ba, ba, ba. You hear all these things, right? And yes, you may have that knowledge, but the body doesn't have it yet. So you have to condition the body into that kind of thinking. And so when you condition your consciousness into recognizing, because when you do the Kundalini exercise, it's not just your 7 chakras. Those are the major centers. You have 100 and something. I've lost count of the numbers right now. Chakras all over your body, and 2 or 3 out of your body. I mean, outside the physical space, and they're usually in this area. You have 1 in front of you. Most people don't talk about that 1, and that's the one that people use to be able to create this nebulous thing that we call charisma, the ability to connect with everybody, and they don't know how, but they just seem to understand you, even if they don't speak your language. Because it's an unconscious way of speaking in symbolism, and it comes across in just your energy field. It's quite amazing how it works. So the question was, is it dangerous? Yes, if you have a mentor or a teacher, advisable, because they've been there, done that. What not to do, the holes we've fallen into, that would be very useful. And the next question is, why are you doing this? Insane urge. A part of me realizes that what I see, what I feel, and everything around me is not real, and that there's much more to the universe, and I just want to serve. And instead of gimme, I want more power. I want to be able to manifest this boat, this, that. I don't have time for you. I don't have time for any of that. I want to attract the soulmate of my life. Great, let's find somebody else. They've written a lot of books, and they can help you do that. They can help you. In fact, some of the biggest relationship writers are those who've tried and failed at their own relationships, and but they succeeded in teaching you what not to do. For example, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. John Gray wrote that book. Super successful book, super successful man. Barbara DeAngelis wrote the book about your relationship, not energy, skills, and all of those things you need. But John and Barbara were married to each other at one point, and they got divorced. And so you got a lot of wonderful things. Yeah, many things we don't know. Best to look behind the scenes, and everything is not as it seems. Not as it seems. The motivational world will put out all the hoo-has in the motivational world will put a screen up, smiling all the time. But there's a lot of things happening in there that is not seen. Some of them, I'd say a good many, 70, 80% of them are quite suicidal. And but they cannot tell you that because the whole business crumbles. It's kind of sad. But when you can be happy with nothing, which means that you strive, and you and I are doing things that are unreal. I mean, if we execute and they become, they take a lot of money, they take a lot of time, they take a lot of effort, but if we succeed, all of humanity changes. But I'm slowly, even now, at this point, at this age, being schooled and counseled in areas where, what if none of this happened? And okay, I've got to be able to be comfortable doing that. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can you do me a favor? Can you ask Ellie to call your Uncle Poopy and tell him that we are on a live show, and to give him the what do you call this? The broadcast parameters, the URL, so that he can may even want to participate if he comes in. Okay. Yeah. And we'll be done in about an hour and a half or so. And meanwhile, let me do a shout out to Ashok, my shy shaman from New York City. Please, if you feel like it, please come on. It'll be good to enjoy your energy for a while. Ashok has a special energy that makes it very open for people to come dance with him on the dance floor and all the awesomeness festivals and everything else that's around the planet, and makes a lot of friends very easily as well. He has no barriers up, and he's no guile as well. Evelyn says, hello, Dr. Mel and Luke. Hello, Evelyn. Welcome
Hi,
to the
Evelyn.
show.
We have
So you sent
question
Illy?
from- No, I just sent it direct myself.
Oh, okay. Did you give him the URL to tune in?
Yep.
Awesome.
All given, and we might see him in a few minutes. We have a question from Suba. Is there
Suba,
a relation between spiritual awakening and the law of attraction?
No. Don't you wish we could answer questions just like that? Yes and no. Yeah, just leave it alone.
Simple. It's
Keep
the,
things simple.
Law of polarity, right there.
It's like okay, they're related because we deal with the energy realm, the realm of forces we don't understand, cannot see with the naked eye, all of that. Because when you start to pay attention to things outside of the visual range of sight, ultraviolet, infrared, ultrasound, infrasound, and many other tangibles or intangibles around, some people have the ability to reach out and feel a discarnate entity. They can feel the outlines of a person in front of them. This will freak out most other people, but some of these people are so powerful with their ability to feel that they can even feel the presence of someone through the skin. Some people who are blind have taken up the ability to feel colors, and so they can tell you by holding on to something if the object they're holding on to is red or blue or green or any other color. There is an ability for your mind, for your brain, to cross sensory systems. So you have sensory systems where you see music. You don't just hear music, you see it. And there are other times when you look at something and it turns into sound. So the whole sky, all of a sudden, as it sets, will have a sound. And some musicians and great geniuses are tuned in to this. It's called the simple things. I'm so tired. You have no idea. The symphony of the spheres, or the music of the spheres. That's a simple phrase. You hear it all the time. Beethoven was linked into it, and so was Mozart. So are other people as well. For the lady with the Kundalini question, Suba Saito, when you spend time with her, for instance, she's more interested in awakening that. But something odd happens when you start to awaken from things, and you begin to realize that everything you want with the law of attraction are everything you don't need. And the minute you know this, then your spiritual awakening becomes deeper. I think it was related to what Jesus had said, and some of the other prophets at that time had also said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you." What does that mean? That means the more spiritually awakened or attuned you are, the more synchronicities happen. The things that are related to what you need to accomplish in this life, the lessons you need to learn, which is the most important thing, not the stuff you need to accumulate. That's not important. Finding a soulmate, I have bad news for you and good news. You have many soulmates in life, not just one. And the ego will want you to think of protection and say, oh, you mean My soulmate might find another soulmate. Yes. Yeah. Because every relationship is a preparation for the next relationship. Your soulmate will go on to someone else. It will happen. And you will go on to somebody else. It will happen without a doubt. You can hold on to each other. Yes, that's great. That's fantastic. But both of you are not going to die together. I suspect one of you will say, why don't you go first? I'll come later. And then suddenly realize, wait a minute, it's more fun. And so they go on living, and you're on the other side at a Starbucks waiting with a cup of coffee, wondering, where the hell are these guys? Always late. Did I even answer your question at all?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. And
more or
Suba, I
less.
hope I answered you. The law of attraction is it's at work all the time. It's like saying the law of gravity. Attraction works. It just works. It does. Carl Jung called it synchronicity. The people who wrote the New Thought era books, which was around the end or middle end of 1800s, right up to the beginning of the 1900s. Think and Grow Rich is part of this whole law of attraction thing. Books by W. Clements. Wow, my brain is not functioning. Things I used to know that's in my tongue, I now have to think about. So, yeah, well, all of these people are talking about the same thing. If you're a Christian, try to learn the thing about, find the books that are written by Robert Schuller, Reverend Robert Schuller. I think he used to run the very big, at that time, very big now, in comparison to Joel Osteen's work. Small. It's called the Crystal Cathedral at that time. So much money went into building this whole thing, and he started preaching his brand of positive mental attitude to the world. And then came psychologists like me and a few other people that started to teach about cognitive behavioral therapy, which is actually you can find simple books on the matter. Let me try and remember. I'm in a state right now where I haven't had much sleep last night. I'm on a binge thing. I'm coming in and out, and I really should not be behind the wheel. But I already said, and yesterday, it's something I did, Luke. I don't know what it was. And I just realized what it was that I did. I had this computer on a stand, right, off the table. And this thing, you see this little cable? That stand has 2 or 3 fans that blow the hotness, the heat from the thing away. This was not plugged in all night long when I did this. Because I only, Macs are so wonderful. You love to slap the shit out of the people who design them. You got to get other things to put all your other holes in and things like this. And so as a result, I had the printer cable in. So instead of this, so my Mac overheated and died. And I watched it die in front of me. It was so sad. Don't go. I mean, you've never seen a man pleading at 3 o'clock in the morning. Save my work. Cooling fans. That's what they're called. Cooling fans. And so it overheated. I do multiple tasks at the same time. Writing this and this and that and that. So you'd be surprised what happens. Anyway, I fixed it today. And just realized that I'm still without. This thing needs to be plugged in. But then I won't be able to speak to you if I don't put this in. So I'm going to have to get someone. I'll have to pay somebody to come, because the guys who say they'll do it for free don't actually come, and set up all the wires in there. And finally, I can use the studio. And it's cooler also.
Perfect. That'll all get sorted.
Why did I go into all of that? Because don't know. No clue.
Anyway, we
in counseling a lot of people who are wanting to be suicidal and die, and oh my God, I just want to sit quietly, meditate and go, you know what my mantra is? Go
What's
away, go away, go away. Okay, all right. Sorry, what? Sorry, you were speaking.
We have
Oh,
a question about there's someone here. I'm not sure whether it's a man or a woman. They are going through what they feel is a spiritual awakening now, and are experiencing some ego dissolution and what they believe is an ego death. They want to know, is this essential for awakening? And during this ego death, how do they differentiate what is actually them um, from? I can't read the rest of this, but I think essentially what parts of the ego should be maintained for a healthy life after a spiritual awakening.
at this at this point, you ask a question usually, um, like a wise guy, just it's, so who is asking, and that's the ego, the one that's asking. At some point, when you have to maintain an identity and you have to protect that identity, an identity is what you identify with on a larger scale. I am blank, whatever the blank is. I am a psychotherapist, so I'm going to defend psychotherapy and the field of psychotherapy. And if anybody nulls and voids it, then I am upset and I will defend to the death psychotherapy. I am a spiritual master, quote unquote, spiritual master, da da da. Then I'll defend spirituality and da 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 and all of that. When you take no position, zero, I'm learning. I'm on a spiritual path. I don't know how far I am. I don't know how far there is to go, but I know I've been on it since the day I was born. Fine. You cannot fault anybody for that. I've been on a path of growth as a psychotherapist, and I can still grow some more. I don't know everything. There's a lot of things I need to learn. And the more I learn, the more scared I get, because there's a lot I didn't know and don't know and will never know, because as it evolves, if Elon Musk is successful at what he does with Neuralink and all of that, then devices will put into the brain will be a matter of it's like getting up every day and getting an ear piercing. I mean, there was a time when it was not necessary to do any of that. And now we have children like my son and a few other people who look like they walked into, a stapler by accident. And it's like, oh, are you all right? Just, does that hurt? I got stapled here, 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 here. Okay, this is keeping my face together. I mean, why didn't the old people who are getting surgeries think about this? Just get a stapler. It'll be pretty good that way. But so you have people that have identities, and instead of having identities, why don't you see them as roles you play? Right now, you have a role to play of a boyfriend, lover, husband, whatever, right? And it's a role you play. And you may not succeed in it. But, I mean, I don't know who told you have to be a success at it. Some idiot told us it's okay to fail because we learn from failure, right? So let's go out and fail all along. What? They gave us an out. How wonderful is that? But you try not to fail, because the whole relationship is pretty screwed if you do that. So we don't want to do that as much as possible. If you work at a job, you want to minimize your failures a little bit, because I didn't hire you to fail. I hired you to succeed, and so on and so forth. So this idea with Facebook and YouTube and all these memes and all these posters, they're really self-serving bullshit from a lot of people who don't know a lot of things. It's all just bullshit. You know, if you get hurt by somebody who leaves you because you're an asshole or da 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 da, and then you find a meme, this is exactly right. You know, a good lover is a person who bam ba bam ba bam ba bam, and there's a list of what you didn't do, and they send it to you. Read it, read it. This is what. But who said it? Oh, okay. Forget about the fact that his last name was Hitler. But you know, the fact is, it's a nice story, a nice meme, and so on and so forth. So, at some point, if you're on a spiritual journey, you're on a solitary journey. It is a solitary journey. You, your soul, and whatever is higher than you and your soul. So, and your job is to be comfortable in that isolation, because the more you begin to realize that your spiritual life can contribute to a lot of people around you in terms of happiness, joy, fun. I mean, are you having fun yet? I mean, yeah, I don't know if you remember my Breakfast for the Soul CD, 1991, when you were still, you know, young, just a few months old. Or a couple of years old, sorry. So it's 1992. It's more later than that, or 3 even. The first thing I said is your life fun? If it isn't, why? Is your job fun? If your job is not fun, why are you doing it? You know, do something else. Find something that's lucrative and that you enjoy, even if it's halfway to everything that you'll enjoy. If your relationship is not fun and it's serious and it's pulling you down and it's stressful, why the hell are you in it? Obligations only go so far. And then beyond that, you have to change that role. Otherwise, you play the role of a dead person or a divorced person or so on and so forth. That's the natural path. So to be able to walk a natural path of spirituality, you will always face challenges. And the challenges are not necessarily all negative. Some of them are quite positive. The challenge could be, hey, I like this place I'm in. Hey, I like this person I'm with. I want this to last a while. I like this. Well, that holds you back as well, because a part of you doesn't want to have experience anything else. And so people want to experience the spirituality or spiritual journey as an alternative to pain and suffering. It's not necessary to run away. Face it. When you face the pain and suffering, you begin to realize that you've had the initiation to grow into a spiritual life. And at that point, you begin to understand that everything you do, everything you are, is a role that you play, and the roles will change.
So do you think that spiritual awakenings can be fun?
Can, yes. In fact, it is. For me, I cannot speak for you. I cannot speak for anybody else. I can speak for me. When I wake up, I say thank you 3 or 4 times to everyone, you know, depending on who I'm with, also sleeping with. If you're with a negative person and it's just there saying, thank you for the universe, thank you that I'm breathing, thank you for the day ahead, and well, no, thank you for that one. I don't even know why you have her there, you know, that kind of thing. But if you can see everything with a sense of humor, then you're not attached to it too much. I mean, you and I, you know me, I'm attached to a lot of things I want to get finished. I got to get it done. And then eventually I apply the spiritual breaks there and go, wait a minute, you know, yes, it's important, but it's only in the moment that it's important. Otherwise, it's not that important.
Yeah.
So
true.
I don't know. I hope that answered that question. Do you think I answered that question? Or?
I think that answered it quite well. We have another question from Suba.
Suba Saito. It's Suba Saito. Wait, tell me if it doesn't sound bad. Suba Saito sounds like a porn star, right? So Suba Saito sounds like a singer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, sorry, go ahead.
Is telepathy possible either through spiritual awakening or through Elon Musk's invention sometime in the future?
What? Ah, okay. Okay, telepathy is a symbolic language. Telepathy, remote viewing, ultramind, silver ultramind are all pretty much the same thing. The ability to read and see electromagnetic signatures and cross temporal time frames. In other words, the frame that you are normally attached to is past, then present, then future. In some universes, it's future, present, past. Time goes backwards, but it's inconceivable for you. What about a more inconceivable word? Timelessness. What does that mean? It's not what your language tells you. And this is what limits us on the spiritual path, languaging. So it's always good to have multiple languages to learn. In my case, I'm trying to learn Aramaic, the ancient language of discussion of most of the people that wrote a lot of those books that were floating around. Part of what was never put together in one group was called the Apocrypha, and the part that was all put together in a Council of Nicaea in Italy for the church was called the Bibliographica. We put it all together and call it the Bible. But these are not the only books of learning that you can learn. There were a lot of mystical texts from Egypt that are now being unearthed right now. They found a place near Saqqara, Egypt, and a lot of mummies and a lot of scrolls and a lot of things. And what they have to teach us would be enormous. If you learn about Assyrian culture, Babylonian culture, Sumerian culture, you begin to realize that there was a technology at that time which is far beyond what we can expect in this lifetime. How is that possible? I don't know. Conceivably, we'll put books together and discuss it until the day we die. People have been doing it all the time. Are they ancient aliens? We don't know. Elon Musk, it's not his invention. It's one of his companies and all of that. He's looking into the future where now we are at Neanderthal, literally compared one day, probably 20 years in the future, that human is going to look back at us and think of us as Neanderthals, that we couldn't do many things. And now children can multitask through their computers, through their handphones, through their devices and everything else. And soon there'll be virtual reality as a part of everything. And then you begin to realize, wait a minute, with virtual reality and the advent of an advanced form of Siri and such like, or Google, Alexa, and so on and so forth, you will start to begin to see the forms that Siri takes. Can you imagine? And all the other voices, and they will be controlling every part of your life, including knowledge. So then what is school now? We got to redefine what schools are, because school is learning by rote, memorizing, and then passing exams so that people say, well, hey, now you know. But children are now developing Alzheimer's and all kinds of memory loss disorders and everything else. Are they then to be put to the side outside of the bell curve? No, we're using a 200-year-old outmoded system of education. The system of education has to be more Star Trekky, like on the lines of how Spock was educated when he was younger. Multi-systems, multi-knowledge, multi-channels of information coming in, and all related to each other so that you are able to do that. So does the human noggin have to be boosted up at some point? Yes. Does it have to be, will it make us unusual? No, but what would be not unusual? What's the word? Not unreal. What's the word I'm searching for, Luke? Abnormal. Your mother thought what I was doing with you, with the cards, and all of that was abnormal. I was stealing your childhood. away from you. And so for 2 years while you were with me, I was it mom, dad, mom? What's it called? There's a word for it. A stay-at-home dad who's a mom. I forget what you call it. But anyway,
Mr. Mom.
Mr. Mom. Thank you very much. See, thank you for that kick in. Where I was looking after you for the longest time, and we were using those cards. And do you remember the name of the cards?
I don't remember the name of the set, but I do remember all the different paintings.
No, so
and-
so that people can go into the internet and start searching for that for their children as well. Although now it's available online. In those times, Glenn Doman Delicato method. It's called the Doman Delicato method, and where you increase the brain size of the human being, you in this case, 1 year old to 2 year old, and months actually. And you started when you were 3 or 4. You walked into the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and you could name every painting and who they were painted by, and so on and so forth, where they lived, what they did, and da da da. And she always thought that was weird. So, yeah. So, but you don't have any bad
You know,
side effects from any of that, right?
yeah, none so far. I think the definition of weird is interesting thing. I mean, if if something serves you, why should you? And that's another point with this spiritual awakening thing. If
Mm.
you actually go through this path of spiritual awakening, that's a path that a lot of people don't dive down. It is going to be abnormal, um, but to embrace that, sometimes
Mhm.
you see a lot of things that other people won't see.
But you see,
Um,
even though you are unconsciously on the path, you are on the path. The minute you stand up from that couch that you're on right now, you're on the path. It's not going to a path. And the only way to see the spiritual path or the path you walk is to turn around and take a look at all the results. What's happened? What has been there? What has been done? And all of that. And then you begin to realize there's some questions here.
yeah, I see. If Ifag Bemi seems to be soliciting for some kind of reading. I'm not sure what kind of reading they are offering. Perhaps they would like to come on live and show us exactly what they're offering.
Where are you seeing this?
Uh,
Hmm. Wait, I'm seeing E. Jonah. E. Jonah says, yes, all of these ready formulas are more confusing than helping. Agreed. And Suba Saito says, and may I ask about Luke Gill's spiritual awakening experience and his journey he has gone through? That's up to you, Luke. You decide. And my friend Michelle says, first word when I popped on was porn star. Oh, talk about synchronicities, woman. Suba Saito says, are runes part of the Aramaic language? No, runes belong to the whole Irish part of the world, Celtic era, and the time of Druids and everything else as well. Although very funny, in Bulgaria, some of the ancient languages, there's a word for this ancient language in Bulgaria. They have these symbols that everyone is wearing. Have you noticed? They're a lot like rune stones. Very much interested in all of that. Ichona says, weird. I don't know for what. How do you pronounce that? Ifagbimi Awaleri. Inbox me for reading and love spell healing and guidance. How interesting. Love spell healing and guidance. Suba Saito, inbox me for the twice, she says. Haha, good side effects, I guess, from earlier. Mishabaka inbox me for. Did somebody just spam us, Luke?
yeah, it looks like they're spamming away.
Like crazy, huh?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Suba, to answer your question about my spiritual awakening experience,
Uh huh.
I'm very practical with most things. I think, all of us as humans, we have a spiritual side, physical side, emotional side, and at different points, different times, I found that I'll spend time working on my physical body, my health. Others, I'll be processing things emotionally. But anytime I've taken the time to meditate, anytime I've taken the time to um, look inside to see what is not within our five-dimensional senses, and start to think about what more is there, I found that um, the energies just kind of line up, and it's what's the word I'm looking for? There seems to be synchronicities that pop up. There seems to be coincidences. The law of attraction at work, when we start looking for answers within ourselves, they find a way of appearing somehow. And I'm
All the
far
time.
far from enlightened, uh,
Hmm.
but I think all it takes is just to continue looking, and more answers will come.
I hope that helps you. Suba Suba Saito. Uh, Suba Suba Shaito. Oh, that's not a bad name, too. Just realized that. Mm. While I was erasing this lady that was spamming us like crazy, um, uh, I lost connection with my mouse again. It's crazy. It doesn't work like that. At some point, when you want to live an awakened life, you have to start taking responsibility for your life. You got to start. Let me teach you on a basic level. And Luke, kick in anytime you feel like it. Okay. You got to stop. You got to. Let me try it in English. That was Bulgarian for those of you who understood Bulgarian. You have to stop blaming other people and outside influences for what has happened to you and so on and so forth. God hasn't been bad to you or anything like that. The sun doesn't shine on good people and leave darkness around bad people. The sun shines on everybody exactly the same. So all the influences you've had, don't use them as a blame structure for everything. Your past. I have a friend who believes in the planets, the weather, all of that. Own everything that's happening to you, your own chaos, your own confusion, and start to address the problems that you have one by one by one. You cannot do it all at once, but one by one, day by day, slowly, you start to get better. There was a psychotherapist from France who created this wonderful self-affirmation that you do when you look in the mirror every day. Day by day, in every way, I am getting better and better. And then he points to the person, and you point to the person that you're looking at, the reflection, and say, day by day, in every way, you are getting better and better. So begin with your own home, begin in your own house, your own relationships. You cannot function properly if your home is in a state of chaos, untidiness, filth, even, and Luke knows that he's taking care of all of that stuff, and now he's slowly simplifying his life, right, Luke? More or less. And then after you finish all of these basic things, then you can go on to the bigger issues like Kundalini, third eye opening, simple things you need to square away: your relationships, your job, your finances, and
It all certainly can't be more complicated than it was before. So, step in
true,
that direction.
cannot be, yeah. So yes, when people tell you to live in the now, you're not going to succeed all the time. You're going to have moments. You're going to have moments increasing into minutes, minutes increasing into hours, hours increasing into days, where you will be able to live in the now. But you see, when you start worrying about the future or dwelling in the past, well, dwelling in the past gives you a lot of anger, regret, pain, looking in the future and anticipating all of that. And this is something I'll have to learn on a daily basis, because the kind of plans I make are huge. And do I get stressed about it? Yes, but there's a part of me that reminds me, Mel, slow down, otherwise you will not be able to reach that goal. You'll be dead at that point. So the only moment you can change anything, even your decision to be angry, to be upset, to be stressed, is right now. Try not to surround yourself with people who make drama, people who blame you for their life, people who have high expectations of you, or what they want from you, and that you're not fulfilling, and so on and so forth. Remember, your roles can change. Yes, some of you will find yourself alone as a result of this, but hey, it's okay. Learn to love the sound of your voice, your inner voice inside. It is trying to speak to you, but you keep drowning it out with all the noise of confusion and pain, all the noise of other people talking, all the noise of radio and everything. And some people, you know who they are because they come into a room, they cannot stand the silence because it's deafening for them, because the voice inside is speaking and it's deafening and they don't want that. So once in a while, unplug yourself, go into the forest, do what you need to do. Now with COVID, it's very difficult, so do a little bit of a staycation, almost everything will function properly once you give yourself a little bit of a break and disconnect from what do you call it, Luke? The mains, the central core of your own life eventually as well, and have little reminders that speak in a strange voice like that that you cannot take seriously.
Take the time for introspection. Another thing I would add, I think that's it's a brilliant first step to not blame all the other people around you, everyone from your past that has done X, Y, or Z. But one step beyond that is you also have to take the time to forgive yourself. And you can't blame yourself for lessons that you haven't yet learned or did not yet learn in the past. And when you can be easy and go on without attachment, and be able to look at the past, but through a lens of lessons rather than something that dictates the future. That always makes things a lot easier.
Yeah. And sometimes you won't be able to see it, what the big lessons are, until way after you die, because your faculties will be different then, and your ability to see beyond this limited life. If you can imagine a lifeline that your spirit has, your spirit was never born, never died. That's the person you're trying to become, the never born and never died. The minute you realize this, and that's the goal of all spiritual growth, the minute you realize that you were never born and that you will never die, then everything else doesn't make any sense. Why are you pursuing the things you're pursuing? Why are you doing what you're doing? So that you can make mother and father happy for a little while, prove yourself in front of friends and family, and that you're not a failure, you're a success, and all of those kind of things, or to get love. I found my soulmate. I think the idea is mating, really. Where soul is involved, great, that's fantastic. But what if you don't even know what your soul's name is? What your real soul is like, the never born, never died? What do you never know that? And you have the audacity to want to find your soulmate? Really? Are you serious? Because when you find that person, him or her, are you the kind of soulmate they want? Somewhere along the way, you ask for a handsome man, woman also, or camel. I'm not judging. Happy, smart, rich, with pecs, and every muscle that you think is important is bigger than you expect. Whatever, all of that, and then you finish with all the superficial stuff, and then when you finally find him or her, and you approach them, and they have the same list. It's similar, and nowhere on their list did they say, I want a man or woman who's depressed as fuck and in a dark space all the time and negative, wound up, and it's not on the list. So you and I have a very happy task. You started in Serbia, was it, or Croatia? Where?
No, that was in Slovenia. Yeah.
Slovenia. And you were teaching them
The first
about
one.
being happy and being happy in the moment. And if you're happy and you work on your own happiness, I mean, no one is going to make you happy. No one can make you feel loved. No one can give you the support that you need, except if you need a bra. Then a bra, go out and buy one. No one is there to support you. Just support yourself. Don't look for validation anywhere else except yourself. And if you're closer to God, look, I feel so spiritual. I'm so close to God. Don't you think? Don't you think? Can you not see? It's like, what the hell? Are you serious? So be careful who you follow as well, because it's the blind leading the blind. And sometimes when you reach a certain level, you go into, you know what? I'm not interested in convincing anybody of anything anymore. I just don't want to do this. Is it possible to say, I don't want to be like Moses at the base of Mount Sinai when he said, why me? Because if not you, then who? So on and so forth. Yeah, but I don't want to. You have to, otherwise I'll kill you. Oh, okay. So you come to a point where you have no choice to go forward, and then you have to go forward. Because everything else is just a game. And playing a role. You're playing a role. You find somebody to love, and you're playing the role. It's not real. But you're feeling emotions and everything. It's very heady. The problem is I think Buddha mentioned it more succinctly than anybody else. When his number one disciple, Ananda, said to him, and Ananda was his brother, by the way, just to let you know. Did you know that?
Brother.
Yeah. But anyway,
Did not know that.
yeah. And said to him, but master, I don't know, the master thing may have come later, but anyway, he said, hey bro, how come you have this ability to be able to see clearly and feel clearly and not be affected by the emotions and be able to keep a stasis point? There's a word for it, like an equilibrium point, equanimity is what it's called. Neither not too happy, not too sad, but you're feeling it because you're human. You will feel emotions. Are you controlled by them? If you are controlled by them, then yeah, that's where you've gone off a path. So get back on the path and you control it or them, and then it'll be okay. So he answered him, his brother Ananda, his disciple, number one disciple, said, you will find it very difficult to achieve enlightenment because you are a fire burning within a fire, burning within yet another fire. And you're trying to put out the flames. Now, then he went on and explained what the fires are. The first fire is your physical body. It generates hormones. It's ruled by hormones. You have to rule it back. And we don't always succeed as men with testosterone or women with estrogen and other. Lack of enkephalins or endorphins will lead to lower serotonin levels. And those will cause you to go more suicidal and everything else. Keep them up. Pay attention to them. Pay attention to the way you think and what you think about and all of this. And then the other fires that is second to that, because some of the things you think about The mental fires are the ones that will consume you. When you go back into the past and you think of how much your life has hurt you, how people have abandoned you, and people have destroyed you, and people have stolen from you, and people, and you start to cry about all of these things, then you start to be in a fire that very tough to quench, because you're always looking at the past. But if you look at the future and say more is coming, more of the same, I don't, why be alive, and so on and so forth, you start to hyperventilate. You can't get out of that. You can't get out. It's so difficult, and people are locked into that. So you've got the mental fire, you got the biological fire. Now you have the forget about the in between. What is the link in between? It's emotional. The emotions are raging because once you think a certain thought, the guy, as you're driving, you rented a car recently to drive to the south, right? And some of the roads, some of the highways are one lane. Have you noticed? Especially near Staro Yakovo. Yeah?
I have. Yeah, it's quite scary, especially when Ellie's behind the wheel.
That couch is going to be comfortable tonight. Yes. You can go drive yourself later by yourself. Anyway, the point is this.
No one told her there's no Autobahn here.
Yes. And she would feel that the person in front is so damn slow. So slow. And in fact, you know what? He did that for the last 40 miles. He is targeting me. That's what he's doing. Goddamn mother. He's doing it. He's purposely making my day worse. When it's nothing of that sort. The guy didn't even know you were there. In fact, his rear view mirror doesn't work. But still, you form all kinds of pictures in your head. And all of these things are always, first and foremost, something you have to do, right? So something happens here. And the guy behind, well, he's just trying to get home. And you're too slow. I mean, there's no car in front of you. You could pull over to the side. No, you're doing that on purpose. You're trying to make my day miserable. That's why. And so on and so forth. So when you start to ascribe negative reasons for why things happen normally, naturally on a day, then you begin to what's the word when you create something that isn't there? You hallucinate. And yet that hallucination rules your life, and it's all emotional. So your emotions get worked up. And why you didn't get that promotion when the other guy got the promotion? I know it's because of my color. It's because of my gender. It's because of my whatever the case might be. So as a result, you start to get more excited and more painful. What if it didn't fucking matter to you? What if it didn't matter? What if that guy is so slow? Okay, we'll try and screw with his brain in some way. That's why when you were younger, do you remember in the car between the passenger seat and the driver's seat, I always had this little device. It was launching rockets. It made rocket sounds. And
yes, I do.
Do you remember that? And we had that, and I said, Luke, fire a rocket. Boom, boom, and the thing would blow up. And then kicking out another one would be machine gun. It takes care of those emotions right there, because people are always in rage. People are always in pain, depending on what they think. So if you can control the mind, because everything is mind, when you can control the mind, you control the emotions. When you can control the mind, you control the body and the pain, because a lot of the emotions are being held in different parts of your body. And so you might hold stress in your liver and therefore develop liver cancer and all kinds of other things. If you study the biogenetic, the morphogenetic field that Rupert Sheldrake talked about, or Bruce Lipton talks about a field of energy, which is pretty much morphogenetic, which influences your DNA, which influences your health. And if that keeps you healthy, wow, wouldn't you want to spend more time in the blissed out state of meditation? And to be able to do that, yes, have your relationships. By all means, have a lot of sex or whatever you want from it. But always remember that sex is dangerous. I think I had a discussion with somebody about this the other day. Sex is very dangerous. I'll tell you why. Not only because of the diseases that you can get from out there, and but also because of the emotional states that can be riled up within you. And that can cause a lot of things to happen, emotional, mental states. It will cause moments of longing and so on and so forth. There is no such thing as casual sex for women, mostly. If they continue to have sex with the same guy over and over again, what will happen is they will create a bond of some kind in that limbic structure of the brain. You know, it's about walnut size. And that's where the long-term memories are held. It will cause physical pain if that person who's creating that stimulus is no longer around. And when you dive into another person like that, you have to pay attention to the fact of how you're creating a karmic event that at some point you have to justify. At some point will hold you back in your karmic growth or release of all karmic ties so that you can go beyond. Because all of these people, the Monroe Institute, talks about the out-of-body experiences and all of these things. Who is that fellow, Michael Newton, Brian Wise, and talking about life between lives and all of these things. You start to pay attention to it as well. So as you pay attention to it, you begin to realize that life in between lives is not the only thing that matters. There is another existence beyond that. There is a guide. The guide belongs to that existence, the Atman. And then your job is to become so good at what you do that you no longer have to return. You are suddenly aware of everything and every process. You do not forget about the fire within a fire within a fire. You seek every day to assuage it, to quench the fires so that they don't fire up. You spend more time alone because, wow, that brings more peace. The only time you spend with people is to heal them and to take care of them and because they are either family or you made an obligation or a promise or something. You still have to hold to it at some point. But as we serve people, Luke and everyone listening, you are not a servant of people. That's a little bit of a distinction you got to pay attention to as well. You don't need to teach, but you do because you want. You desire to do that. You're not looking for anything in return. You're just simply creating. And if you want to find a life where you can take care of your needs physically, emotionally, and all of that, buy food, pay rent, find a job where this can be done. And you can do both of that, and you fulfill that destiny of yours. Success is not measured by how much money a motivational hoo-ha has, 100 million, 500 million, a yacht, a plane, and this and that. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, we can go into it and say, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have a jet? Yeah, it would be. Of course it would be. But then when you get lost in that and you say, I am not a success because I'm comparing with that person and I don't have it. No, you're fine. You're okay. In as much as we need the motivational hoo-has to drive people to create a better country and nation, we also need the guy to press the little buttons on the elevator to go up and down. So, essential services.
As you were talking about karma just now, and you were saying that from a physiological, psychological perspective, women grow more bond to their limbic structure.
No, faster than men. Men also. But it takes longer because your limbic structure is about a third smaller. You're an ape. Have you seen monkeys in the wild? Dan Tartar used to tell her, you know what I like about them? They don't even ask questions. Ding, 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 ding. And then 5 seconds later, ding, 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 ding. And 5 seconds later, ding, 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 ding. So, yeah, monkeying around that's the origin of that phrase. And so when you look at what people desire in a mate, in a lover, in a father, in a mother, in a friend, even. And a friend, that's a dangerous word as well, because they have conditions for what a friend is and all of this. When you look at the needs. So when you want, ask a question, you can ask it this way. I don't know why I'm talking like that. When you want a lover, husband, wife, what are the qualities you're looking for? What would you like them to be? And then when you write the list down and you see, you immediately know what they are missing in their life and what they need. And they still think it's coming from somewhere else. Anyone who thinks that all of the things you need are coming from somewhere else, you've just fallen off the spiritual path. Get back on. You're alone. There's only one being that's with you. It's invisible. It's a guide, maybe more than one. Some people have 2 or 3. And they're representatives of the on high, the effulgence of the Great Spirit that you cannot even imagine. Is everything calculated? Yes. Is everything predetermined? Yes, because it was predetermined to be predetermined, but you won't know that and cannot answer that or say for sure because there's no way to prove that. I went off on a rant, didn't I? Sorry.
Yeah, well, no, that's all really good advice, and it's good to keep our.
Was that sarcasm?
No, no. I learned a lot. If you're going to start seeing someone, you should make sure you stay with them, no matter how many of them are there, to keep the karma intact.
It's like you can't beat yourself up over it or have anybody beat you up over your past. It just happened.
Yeah.
Every day that I walk up these stairs, my wooden stairs going up to the world, it used to be tiles, it's now wood. There are a lot of ants going by, Luke. And sometimes I'm not aware of the ants and I step on them. And then I suddenly realize, I don't know what suddenly alerts me that I've done this. And I turn around and they're under my shoe, squished. Ooh. Does that create a karmic link? Because I've killed something. No. But if because you're not aware. But if you have the karmic link, if you have the ants going and you see them and you step on them consciously, you have now created a link between that living being and yourself. In the past, we may have been led by hormones, a lot of them. I mean, maybe in your case, a lot less than mine, or whatever, or more. I have no idea. We can't do comparisons because there's no right or wrong. There's no proper amount of different. And I made a lot of not good decisions, but the problem, the decision to create a relationship that lasts forever, that wasn't ever my goal. I always knew, and I'm now solidly burned into a simple phrase: every relationship is a preparation for the next. Which means that if I am in a relationship right now, then I want to experience the joy in it. I don't need that person to give me joy. It's not their job. Or to look after me. It's not their job. But to be able to love a person is amazing. It's a joy. It's It's a happiness. If you have intercourse with that man, woman, or camel, it's a joy. Something you enjoy. It's fun. Thing we talked about in the beginning of this. Yes, it's a joy. It's happiness, and both of you are happy, and so on and so forth. But somewhere along the way, you treat every coupling as if it's going to be the last one. Not because they're going to go kill themselves, but because you don't know what's going to happen next. You just have no idea. Are you going to see them again the next day? Well, it's on your calendar. You're going to see them Friday, but who knows? Who really knows? No one knows. With COVID, even worse. No one knows. So every encounter as if it's your last, every kiss as if it's your last, every sexual act as if it's your last, every handhold, every cup of coffee, every meal, everything as if it's the last. Because when that person leaves with somebody else, well, bless them, because obviously their needs are not fulfilled by you. So they have to be fulfilled by somebody else. So go ahead. Try not to be angry and upset about it, and learn. Because this is what spiritual beings do. They don't plan revenge and all of these things. They bless. And because they live in abundance and not scarcity. Remember the bag of marbles I was telling you about? If you have 50 marbles and somebody has 2 or 3, if both lose one, it's not much of a loss for the one who has 50 and the one who thinks in abundance. But because the whole world is there, I'm not suggesting that you go, in a, what's it called, sequential, serial monotony. Shit, that's
Monogamy.
oh jeez. Talk about slip of the tongue. Monogamy, yes. Yeah. Damn. So yeah. Yeah. I forgot what I was saying. Just got that slip of the tongue. Monogamy. Gotta remember that. Monogamy. Okay, good. You decide if it is monotonous or not. So, any other questions, Luke? I've asked the question so many times for insects. Oh, okay. When a squish is considered karma. If you do it consciously, yes. If you cause someone pain yes. Physical, emotional, mental.
If that same insect was a human in the past life and squished you, I think you're allowed.
I'm not even going there. I'm not even going there. Okay. So, any other questions? Yeah.
Do you believe that spiritual awakening is framed by the ego mind trying to escape from pain? Or is it a coping mechanism of some sort? And that's an interesting question. I feel like
it's what it's what I talked about just now. You gotta understand the why of why you're on a spiritual journey. Are you running away from pain? And again, I'm going to be in a very conflicted argument with a lot of monks and everything else along the way as well. You are a monk or nun who lives in a spiritual enclave of people, walls, meals already. It's also easy, and all you do every day is meditate and all of that. You'd like to get away because relationships have hurt you so much, and this, you no longer want to give yourself to another man anymore. You want to be a nun. We know somebody like that. Remember Orr? And all of this is like that a lot. And many other people are doing that. Even the male equivalent of that. Women hurt me. They take away everything from me. I'm going to be a monk. I'm not going to touch anybody. And that's not a good reason to become one. And you got to be able to understand the not uselessness, there's a word for it, of a cycle. endless cycle of relationships. If you do this, then you get this. If you don't do that, you get that. If you be nice, then you get what you need. If you don't be nice, then you get this and reactions. It's all very mechanistic, even though it's you say they're not robots, but people are programmable. That's why there are mental subconscious programs out there that do work. If you listen to them often enough, they work. They change your programming. So what does that make you? A wetware, robot of some kind working on programs that have been administered since birth. And can you change them? Of course you can. There are many tools out there you can use. Some of the more direct tools seem to be things related to psychedelic experiences also. They're more powerful and more, again, in the hands of an expert, it can do miraculous things. So you got to pay attention to that. So to whoever is asking, understand why you want to walk the spiritual path. If your need is like mine, if somebody asks me, why am I on this path? Because I remember one thing as I was hungry as a 9-year-old. I took up magic. I don't know if you know that. I bought a couple of magic sets and got your grandfather to invest in the magic set and all that. I was not good at the magic thing, sleight of hand and all of this, because I wanted to know how they did what they did. What was the power that people had? The real mind power. And I think I was 8-year-old when your great-great-grandfather on your grandmother's side took me to see my first ever movie. It was Dracula with Christopher Lee. And Dracula had strange abilities and powers. I wanted to have those powers. He could fly. As an 8-year-old, I wanted to fly. Is this possible? Then that led to witches and everything else. And next thing I know, I'm with the Rosicrucians trying to understand stuff, and the Freemasons and understanding everything else, and so on and so forth. I got very, very serious about all of this, and then began to realize that a lot of it had to do with the form of theology that is mental and changing all the time. The minute you come on to something and say, this is it, this is the truth, it is no longer the truth. Because there are many, many truths along the way, and they're all dynamically changing. The older you get, the further you get, the more time passes, and everything else. Everything is dynamic. Nothing stays the same. Even knowledge, even growth, even spirituality, nothing stays the same. So when I did all of that, I began to understand one very important thing. When you were born, I had no clue. You, first of all, came out of your mother's hoo-ha, right? Which ruined my idea of a playground for a long time. But, and you turned your head and you looked at me. It was like the most terrifying moment in my life. Nothing else terrified me before that or since that. Just that look. And I was searching inside when you finally came out for a manual. But what do I do? First step, second step. The rest of it, I realized, was an automatic thing. I had talked to you before you were born, the soul that you are. I even talked to you when you came out and you were crying. I knew something was wrong. And your mother said, no, he's fine. I said, no, I got to go check. And of course you were screaming. The nurse was holding you and saying, it's the Gill baby. What the hell do we do with this guy? And I said, all he needs is something to drink. The guy's thirsty. How did I know that? Because you told me. And she did. She gave you 5% glucose and you were fine. You fell asleep. So the connection between people is not just familial. It's different things. If you go into a relationship with a man or woman, you want nothing but the best for them. That's why you're in that relationship. But if you're in that relationship because you want to feel a certain way, because your needs are being met and fulfilled, and because now you are finally loved, so on and so forth, then think again, because you're not there to serve the other person. You're there to serve yourself. It's a very selfish reason to be in a relationship. So the only good reason to be in a relationship is to think this way. When I come to this relationship, what do I bring to the table? I bring to the table my entire set of skills as a person, my entire experience as a human being, to make you happy as I can. I'm not a slave to making you happy, but I will do my best as I can, and teach you a different way of thinking, different way of being, and so on and so forth. Do I need anything from you? No, not really. Maybe if you want, we can get naked and have fun once in a while and this and this. But it's beginning to come to a point where I'm seeing the dangerous, not necessary moment of that anymore, because it screws people's minds up. You know how it feels like. They just go crazy. But you did, and this and that, da, 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 da. So going into a relationship, you choose what you bring to the table. If the only thing you bring to the table is your sexual organs, think again. That's not a good relationship. What does mean?
That's all very
Are you in
interesting.
a trance
I think
state? Did I just get you in a trance state?
a little bit, yeah. A little bit of you. It's a very soothing voice. Also, I realize I have not
Are
had
you
a
saying in a
coffee in a
different
few
way that I'm
hours.
putting you to sleep? Is that what you're saying?
No, no, not at all.
Soothing voice? That's my excuse for when other people speak. Look, I'm going, yeah, but Mel, you're so sleepy. Yes, you have a soothing voice. No, this is boring as fuck. That's why I'm sleeping. Okay, sorry. Okay, you talk.
I think we might have another question for you.
Yeah.
Let me
You're
pull
gonna
up this
take this
list.
question. You're gonna take this question.
Suba Saito asks, "What if the reason why I'm part of a spiritual
Sub
awakening
Suba
it's
Shaito.
Suba Saito? What if the reason why I'm part of a spiritual awakening is to find the truth about our spiritual side and make it more well known out there?"
Why do you want to do that? People have been doing that for centuries. Some succeed, some don't. Why do you want to do that? That's a question. Yeah. I mean, some people don't listen to you. They don't care. They are looking for qualifications. What qualifies you? Can you walk on water? Can you float to the clouds? Can you read the Akashic records? What? Can you interdimensionally travel? Can you connect with UFOs? Do you know what's under the sea and on Pluto or Io, which is one of the planets of Saturn? Is it Saturn?
I actually don't know.
Io
That's
can
a good
support life,
question.
apparently.
Wow.
Yeah, we're beginning to
I did not know
discover that. Yeah. All we need to do is Elon Musk wants to drop a nuke on the north and south pole of Mars to release all the water and create a terraform, but that may have ramifications that we're not aware of yet. So they've shelved the idea, but he is going there within the next 4 years. And if I'm successful at what I finish and patent, I may be on that ship too, Luke.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Should be good.
Should be fun.
We have another young lady that asks, "Is there a reason for these synchronicities that appear in life?"
I didn't recognize a question in there.
Is there a purpose behind noticing the synchronicities that occur during spiritual awakenings?
Is there a purpose to recognizing road signs as you drive on the road? Yeah. They show you the path that you're walking, and you pay attention to what the direction you're headed. Again, that's what road signs are. That's what synchronicities are. They begin to make you comfortable in recognizing that everything that happens on the planet is not an accident. It's not an accident. It just simply is your unconscious mind guiding you along with 7.5 billion unconscious minds on this planet in a direction for the global consciousness raising event that is yet to form. But it will take a quantum leap. It won't be gradual and all of that. It's like the 100th monkey principle. I don't know if you are familiar with the 100th monkey principle. There's a group of monkeys on an island of Japan. And one day, they pick this fruit that falls from this tree, and they eat them, and they have grains of sand. But one day, one of these little fruits rolled down into the water, into the hot springs in the area. And so when the monkey went in and picked it up, found that the water washed all the sand away, and there was no grittiness left. It was so tasty. And soon, all the other monkeys, he didn't run a webinar, nor did he do an online course. This monkey just somehow communicated that washed fruits have less sand, and so pretty soon every monkey on the planet on that island was doing that. They were washing their fruits. But here's the interesting thing. It seemed as if the monkeys on the mainland, and these monkeys have no way to go back and forth because of the vast expanse of water, the monkeys on the mainland also started to learn how to wash their fruits in the springs. So they call it the 100th monkey principle, that when 100 monkeys or more, or a critical mass of humans, begin to think a certain way, feel a certain way, then boom, the whole planet begins to think that way. If you take a helicopter view of COVID and this entire thing with COVID, leave aside all the conspiracies and everything else, and the Donald Trump this and the Illuminati that and everything else. But if you put all that aside, COVID is teaching a lot of people to walk a spiritual path. COVID is teaching a lot of people to pay attention to what's happening with other parts of the world through the internet. COVID is teaching you that aloneness is okay, that it's all right to be alone, that you don't need to be social, and that COVID is beginning to show us as well, with CoffeeZilla exposing the fake gurus and all these other people, and they begin to see that, wait a minute, that's all a sham. It's just a surface thing. It's not real. That all these people are really not happy. That most of them are killing each other or killing themselves as they do all of these things. And then so COVID is slowly pushing the human being towards more and more what monks have been doing consciously all the time, going into the what's it called, monkery? No, monastery, the monastery, and nuns go to a nunnery. What the hell is that? Convent. They go to a convent. We are in effect in our own monasteries. We are in effect our own private spaces, nuns, nunneries, and all of this. It's interesting that we are now being pushed towards the spiritual solitary path. Seems that way. I don't know. I'm just making an observation.
No, definitely.
Suba Shaito.
And
yeah.
Go inside and
yeah. Suba Shaito says that there's not a lot of accurate information. Google isn't accurate about this, and we don't know a lot of accurate sources about the topic. How do you know they're not accurate? How do you know what is accurate and what is not? It's going to take time, Suba Shaito. It will take time. that question was asked of Jesus Christ because one of the disciples asked him. He said, "How do we know?" He said, "After I'm gone, you need to continue teaching and continue learning." They said, "Okay, but learn from whom and how? There's so many people teaching so many different things. Who do we know is a false prophet, and who's teaching the truth, and da 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 da? Who is who?" And Jesus said to them, "By their fruits you will know them." So, in other words, when people say, "Come, follow my way," are they depressed individuals teaching you? Are they people who are upset, people who are angry all the time, and they're trying to teach you their way? Take a look at those people. If they seem to be having a lot of fun, and they seem to be happy, and they seem to be all of that, spend more time with those guys, and you begin to realize, wait a minute, they're thinking in a different way. They're not like everybody else. I'll follow that guy because he's laughing more, and he's not so clinging to a truth. Become very close to people who are seeking the truth. Be very suspicious of the people who have found the truth. One day you'll understand. E. Jonah says, how do we make the unconscious conscious? By asking that kind of question. The minute you begin to realize there's a learning curve in all of life, you start off with unconscious incompetence, which means you don't know that you don't know. Then when somebody teaches you, you become consciously incompetent, which means you suddenly know there's a lot of shit you don't know. And so you train, you learn, you study, you apprentice yourself, you do what you need to do, and then you become consciously competent. And then you do it enough, with enough hours, with enough practice, with enough zeal and dedication, that you become unconsciously competent. So when you learn martial arts of any kind, is to learn it to such a level where it becomes instinct. When you take a look at the movie Karate Kid, you remember that? Wax on, wax off, da-da-da. And the guy got fed up after a week. Why am I always doing the wax on, wax off? And then he started to punch him. The guy did the wax off, and the guy did the wax off. Oh, holy shit. These are... And in the spiritual path, the practices are similar, and they're the same. Keep asking questions. Don't stop asking questions, E. Jonah. Michelle, the monkey didn't do a webinar. A monkey webinar would be really cool. Can you imagine that? Kantinan Lamcharingling says, to build good unconscious mind, I should imagine, think, action positive to myself. Do my understand correct? Luke, take that.
Absolutely. To build your unconscious mind, train it to think the way you want. The same way you were just saying about bringing the unconscious conscious. I think the way we think is always just habits. And if we consciously turn inwards and choose our habits, it gets easier and easier.
Great.
Suba also says, we don't know which is accurate, and well, you've answered my question now, so thank you.
If you want, there are many mentors. If some of you would like to follow Luke, he will give you his Facebook page. Put your Facebook page there, become a friend of his. Ask him these questions, go into interactions with him, because eventually he's actually preparing a bunch of online courses, and he will teach you all of that. And I am too, eventually going to be running some courses online. I'm no longer going to do the face-to-face seminars. This COVID has been very interesting for me. I always thought I had to stand in front of groups of people to be able to communicate. I no longer need that. I don't know why. And if I don't succeed in taking my thoughts to 7 billion people on the planet, that's okay as well. But I'm going to have fun in the process of getting it out there. Yes, we don't have the finances we need to be able to make that happen, but there are ways in which we can become quite creative this way and to make it happen. And once we succeed, then we'll show you the plan that we use, Luke and I, to be able to reach to that level. And then you might follow. You might be able to do that as well. There are a lot of people out there teaching you about how to get online. You pay them $1,000, $5,000, and they'll teach you all of this courses and all that. Don't waste your money. Go into YouTube. There are a lot of people that are teaching it for free. Are they good at what they're doing? Very simple. I will teach you how to get 1 million followers on your Instagram, and then take a look at their Instagram. That's only 1,000 people. What the hell? You're 3 zeros short, and you're going to teach me? Really? Are you serious? I will teach you to be more calm and happy. What was that? Shut up. Don't tell me to turn around, walk away. I am going to show you how I made $1 million in 2 transactions on Amazon.com and I sold my mother on eBay, and therefore I got a good price on this. Turn around, walk away. So there are people teaching for free because they want to, but there are also people teaching by donation. So you can donate if you want. There are a lot of people. You will find them when it's necessary, and they will come your way. Suba Saito, you ask a lot of questions, and I like that. I really like that. But at some point, you're going to have to take the answers that are given to you and turn them into action instead of leading to the next question, the next question, next question. Remember I told you this, 10 years ago maybe, whenever the hell I met you. And I said to you, you got to be able to put into action everything I told you. If you just listen and do nothing about it, your friends are going to be bullying you and doing what you do in school and all of that. You got to be able to take responsibility and take the step, the first step, second step, third step. And then somewhere along the way, you'll find your lessons will change. The more you grow, the more lessons will be given to you. Don't hold on to anything or anyone on this planet. You're going to be leaving them, and they're going to be leaving you at some point. So there is no safety here. The safety is inside. Inside. I need to be reminded of that so many times. Now, if I need to be reminded, what about you? It's normal to doubt, because people who are fairly intelligent doubt. People who are too sure of themselves are usually not the intelligent people who ask questions. So I like the fact that you're asking questions, Suba Saito.
We have another question here. What is deja vu, and does that have anything to do with spirituality?
Deja vu is the ability to precognate. Precognition is the ability to see something before it happens, and to dream something, to feel something before it happens. And these are time slips where the event, remember the thing I told you about, to be able to conceive, your mind, your subconscious mind can conceive of timelessness. Your conscious mind cannot. It will drive you insane. Your brain will explode into 1,000 pieces. Because timelessness, where past, present, and future are all, I can't say happening, but they are, wow, it's not even a word. There's no word for this, Luke. I see it, I feel it, I know it, but there's no word for it. It happened already. I don't know how to explain that. It's not past, but it is in a frame in which it is constant. It's timelessness. It's the way gods think, if you will. It's inconceivable by us. We're like ants, trying to understand human beings. It's the same with a faculty. I mean, if we were engineered creatures on this planet, then we don't have the faculties of our makers, and so on and so forth. So you have to understand that as well. but you can free yourself from that by going into remote viewing activities, out of body experiences, meditation, and begin to conceptualize everything on a non-linear intelligence level. Non-linear means it is ultra-linear, or not even linear. It's multifaceted, 3D thinking, if you will. So it's very, very interesting.
Christian wants to know, what is the best advice you have for people suffering from low self-esteem?
This is where sitting with a therapist is usually useful. Try not to sit with friends and family members, because they'll say, "Oh, snap out of it. You got it. The life is doing, there are many sharks in the ocean, blah, 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 bullshit, bullshit, bullshit," but that doesn't help. There's always a root cause that stems from childhood somewhere. And somewhere along the way, you're dealing also with fear. And a psychotherapist, a good one, there are many psychotherapists, but you need a good one to be able to take you from a level of recognizing the cause of that non-confidence, and to be more confident is not anybody else's duty but yours, not anybody else's responsibility but yours. To be able for you to recognize that, say for instance, if you want to be able to speak in front of a crowd of people, that may stem from low self-esteem. Why? Because of childhood criteria. When your parents or your mothers or fathers or grandfather, grandmother, or church elder or some other school teacher said that you were not good enough, that you have to prove it, that you have to do this and this and this and this. Even now, I'm trying to tell you that people who are not very confident and have very low self-esteem will be people that will seek validation from outside. So there's a course of action that you have to follow, and this would be, if we go into it, it will take us another hour or so. Maybe one of these days, Luke, we will do an entire course here on this program for free on how to increase your self-esteem, what to do, what not to do. It will now from Tibetan back to English. For those listening from Tibet, I'm sure you understand that now. A little bit of yak butter makes everything better.
I will also say a lot depends on how you interpret what comes in with that subconscious programming. And anytime something like that occurs, whether it's a teacher, a parent from your past, whether it's someone at a party that insults you or whatever, majority of the time, when it's out of jealousy or out of and that in itself, if we flip the frame and look at it through the lens of, oh well, if they insulted you because they were jealous, that's actually a compliment. And if we look at every single negative thing that we encounter in that way, everything lifts you up.
In fact, Christian, walking on the spiritual path, the more you do that, the more you will have a higher self-esteem. And you will be humble because you know what it's like to be at such a level. You know what it's like to have been bullied. You know what it's like to have been ignored, and so on and so forth. So maybe when we run this program on self-confidence and raising your self-esteem, we will use techniques from behavioral modification, pseudosciences like NLP and all of that. But at the same time, we'll also use cognitive behavioral therapy programs with you, and a program to look back at your primal origins of some of that, and it'll be very interesting to see where the origins are. And when you can do that, then you'll find that you will no longer need to be. I say, because low self-esteem has served you in the past. Now it no longer serves you. And so you have to go forward at some point because of some of the activity or work or even relationship goals you have involve you having a higher self-esteem so that you don't accept that you deserve more. The sense of deservedness will increase, and you don't have to validate it with anybody. You become self-validated, and that's the direction I go when I teach my clients or friends how to do that.
But at the same time, a big step to self confidence initially is surrounding yourself with the right people. And if sometimes you do have to make certain cuts from your circle if there's folks that are constantly belittling you and putting you down. Always do what's going to be best and healthiest for you.
Yeah, spend less time with people who are fairly negative about you and your possibilities. You're right, Luke. It's true. And you find that sometimes your own company is the best company. And it's always good. And tell yourself that you deserve more. That yes, you've been through a lot of pain, a lot of stuff. Yes, but don't hold it like a badge. That doesn't define you. Your past doesn't define you. Your past has given you skills and abilities to be who you are now. Now you want to experience more. You want to experience more love, more happiness, more joy, um, more abundance. And so as a result, you will feel that need to let go of all of those practices as well. And at the same time, draw parameters. Don't allow people to do all the negative shit to you and blame you for what they are going through, or that you never did this and that, you don't deserve this and that. Um, Otherwise, you'll have like Suba Shaito said, you'll have a lot of deja vu experiences in your life. Same old shit, different day. Same old shit, different day. Otherwise, it becomes a little bit difficult. Vuja Day is when something happens to you that has never happened before, but you're not aware of it. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. Don't take me seriously. I'd like to join the conversation with Los. No, it's not a conversation. You're welcome to join. Everyone is welcome to come in. It's going to be this. What's the name of this? Uncommon Sense. It's going to be this Uncommon Sense. We're going to run it here in a systematic way, which means that we don't have time to take questions unless they're related to the topic. Cool. I will teach one part. Luke, you will teach the other part. You'll start first. 2 days, Wednesday and Friday. Next week, good, or the week after? We don't have to force ourselves to do that.
It really depends on which day. Wednesdays are not good for me these days to go too late. I can do about an hour on Wednesdays.
Then let's do it every Friday.
But Friday, and we can hop on Monday as well. Whatever works for you.
That works for me, Friday.
All right. That sounds fantastic. I hate to cut this short, but we're coming up on 6 o'clock here, and I have a meeting to run to in about 20 minutes.
No worries. I have a meeting to run to in about 10 minutes. It's with my pillow. I am so tired, Luke. It's not funny how tired I am. I need to sleep, otherwise I'm just going to be nuts. Let's take one more question from Kantinan. Lam Charing. She'll teach me later how to pronounce that. I receive the
unkind voices during action from colleagues often. How should I do? Some people would say turn the other cheek. Some people would say, play some harmless pranks that entertain you. It's really whatever is going to make you the most happy. I would say the best way is to speak to them directly and tell them, how it makes you feel, and that it's, those things aren't okay, and try to be uh, the light that you want to see in the world. Treat them the way you would want to be treated.
Good advice. Um, Turn the other cheek or pinch the other cheek. Depends on which cheek you're talking about. Um, I know her. Ong. It's a good friend, and she's also translated a lot of things for me. And we're going to work on a lot of things in the future. And I know the background. Her self-esteem is not as high as it should be. So she's settled for a lot of things in her life. But slowly, it took about 2 years so far. She's climbing out of it. She's slowly getting out there. There's no fast, there's no slow. It's just she is doing that. A lot of people saying things to you, especially colleagues. This happens a lot at the workplace. At the workplace, people are not kind. The ones who are kind to you are sometimes also stabbing you in the back, and you have no idea who is doing what. It's a shark eat shark world, dog eat dog world. So it's not there should be a manual that you can follow. Communication in the workplace, how to think and change your attitude in a workplace. There are books out there, freely available to everybody as well, and that you be able to do that. I think I've written some also. They're on Amazon on exactly that, what to do in the workplace as well. Or NLP in the workplace is also a useful thing. A lot of people have written books of that kind of title. How to manage difficult people and all of this are also very important. So pay attention to that as well. But I can tell you that you're on the right path, Kantinan Ong. You're on the right path. You're following the right path. And you're beginning to realize that there are many things you missed out. So in your personal life, as you are correcting all this and becoming happier, this will flow over into your workplace as well. Cool? But I don't want to let her know. They know what I feel. Yeah, then you're screwed. No, just see how long we can hold this pose. Without communication, nothing improves. There's no psychic manner to all of this. Actually, shoot, there is. Do you want to give her the silver ultramind way? Come down to your level. You can do it very quickly. You can do. She knows. She was trained.
Maybe we can speak about that on the next show. I do have to run and go get ready for this meeting right now.
You run. I will finish this with her, and then we can call it a day. All right, Luke. Thank you for being on the show.
Right.
Thank you for answering the questions and reading the questions. Yes, we'll talk soon. We will talk soon, son. Good night. I will sing songs tonight very loudly. Oh, very cool. You could do that. But let me finish helping you here. Remember in Ultramind, in the class where you guys were trained to become Ultramind counselors, what I want you to do is to go down to your level. Remember the place where I told you to come out and to be able to communicate. Form an image when you come out of that elevator. Form an image of that person, that woman that you want to talk to. Imagine she's right there. And then talk to her and tell her what it is you're going through and what you would like different from her. Don't speak in anger, but speak with pure love from your heart. And also tell her how much things will improve and how you'd like to help her, and so on and so forth. And give her a big hug after that big talk. And then go back into that little elevator, bring yourself back up from that state. And you're going to find that as you do this very often, almost every other day, or every day possible, then things will improve. It's called it happens at an unconscious level. So there is a common unconsciousness that links all of us. This creative unconsciousness links everybody as well. So Carl Jung called it the collective unconscious mind. Collective meaning unconscious, your unconscious are all functioning at these levels in vibrations and levels that are hard to fathom with a common linear thinking mind. And so as a result, by doing that at that level, calm yourself down until you're almost asleep. Don't do this lying down. Do this while you're sitting up so that you don't fall asleep. And then continue with that conscious reprogramming of yourself. And that would work. Okay? I hope that helps you. Now, there are so many things that I want to talk to you about as well. And what I want to say on this path that you're spending so much time wanting to have all the things you desire on this planet, all those things you want, all the people you want, need, they're only going to give you temporary relief from your pain. If you spent enough time every day to ground yourself, to walk barefoot in the forest, on the earth, you will begin to realize that the greatest healing and the greatest healer is actually already inside you. That you are here to learn many, many lessons that are been designed and created for you in a intricate mesh, a gossamer web that joins everybody in your circle, everyone you have met and you have yet to meet. This is the magic of being human. As you spend less time on social media and the lies that are on social media, and more time with the people that you love, you'll begin to discover that before, with all the jarring scatteredness on the internet, social media, and fragments, they really fragment your energy enormously. You start to believe some of the big things, some of the things that happen, and you become a big part of why you're feeling very frazzled, very discombobulated all the time. So as you disconnect with what people expect of you, you have to learn a very important thing on this earth, and this is one of the most important things to learn: how to love, really love, without needing to be loved in return, and how to forgive. Because when you don't hang on to anger, to resentment, to and equally, you don't ignore them either, but anger is a very valuable emotional reaction. When you feel wronged, it's a clear signal that our boundaries need to be reestablished or reevaluated. How did you allow yourself to be hurt? How did you allow yourself to be walked all over? How did you allow all of these things to happen? Has a lot to do with self-esteem as well, and your confidence level. So you need to take time to be with your feelings, to be able to examine your feelings, to be able to work your way through your feelings, and to be able to understand why you feel the way you do, and what the origins are, and when it was that you started all of this. Because that moment that you understand, then you'll be able to let go. The moment you understand, you'll be able to let go. Just like that. That's all it takes for you to do that. So be kind to yourself. Not only to others, but be kind to yourself. You never know what another human being is going through. Your unkindness doesn't serve any purpose that you need for yourself. Meditate often. Write a journal, if you will. Process the day as it goes. Live every day. Stop taking pictures and sending them to friends and saying, look, I'm so happy. Look, this is what I'm eating. Such a big meal. Look, I live in this such beautiful place and this and that. For what? For what? To impress what? To do what? They're all going to be just jealous anyway. They're all going to want what you want. So occasionally, yeah, it's all right to feel self-pity. But don't dwell there too much. Don't spend too much time there. Try to harness, if you will, the energy to create a better future, a happier future for yourself. Not just tonight, as you go to sleep dreaming about possibilities and waking up in the morning being grateful for your life that you've had so far, even the unnecessary pain and all of that, Be grateful for the good and the bad, because both of them have lessons for you. And listen to the silence. The silence has a lot to say. Cry when you need to cry, but all it does is release the pressure at that point. And after that, you need to bring healing to the pain. The only way to do that is if you let go of your pride and you let go of your prejudice. You've been listening to the sound of Dr. Mel Gill's voice. And this program is called Uncommon Sense. Thank you for listening. I appreciate the fact that you listened till now. It's been 2 hours plus. Next Wednesday, we begin Uncommon Sense again. And on Friday, we begin the lessons on how to raise your self-esteem and your confidence between Luke Gill and myself. Good night, everybody. Have a great weekend.